Hi, this is Anand Vasu, and once again, you're watching Anand on Cricket. In our Voices of Cricket series today, we have with us Amol Karhadkar, deputy editor of the Hindu newspaper, who works in the sports section and covers various sports. Cricket, of course, is his main game, although off the field, table tennis is his main sport. But we've been on many tours together, covered many matches together. Amol, thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Sir Anand. Finally, I have arrived.
Well, let's start with this. If you weren't a sports reporter, if you weren't a cricket reporter, then what would you have been?
I don't know, possibly a table tennis coach, but I think I just found my calling for sports reporting just in time uh, before I actually took up table tennis coaching full time, and it's turned out well.
Well, of course it has. Now, tell us a bit about the table tennis part of it, because a lot of people will be familiar with your byline, will be familiar with your videos and your work on cricket, but not too many people will know much about your background in table tennis. Tell us how that came about and what that journey was like.
Okay, it all started. It's not that I played any great level. I was okay. I played a little bit of nationals. I represented Maharashtra at junior level. I played inter-university till all India level for University of Pune, obviously. But see, having played 15 odd years of competitive table tennis and been involved in basic coaching for 4 to 5 years, you just realize that you are not only half decent at playing a sport, you can also analyze it better. And you and I, we both have played competitive sport at some level. Till our generation, Anand, we know that when it came to sport journalism, majority of us, rather at least in print, and since you were a rarity when it came to digital for our generation, majority of journalists, sports journalists, had to have played some sport at competitive level. So, table tennis, besides teaching me diplomacy, besides teaching me life skills, and giving me friends for lifetime, has also helped me in my profession thereafter.
In your profession, also, you've worked in different organizations, different types of media. Do you remember now the first match that you covered? I know it's a long time ago, so you may not remember the very first one, but do you?
I think when it comes to a Ranji match and an international match, I do remember.
Yes,
Not
that's right.
about local.
No, I'm talking about that.
Ranji, yeah. Ranji match was, I think, was it the semi-final or the final? Must have been semi-final. There was a time when Plate Group used to have a semi-final and final, and Maharashtra had been relegated the year before. This must have been 2003-4. Either the semi-final or the final of 2003-4 Ranji Trophy season. It was a weird season for Maharashtra. My first season, I started midway through the season. So, as Niraj Jadhav had that big season. He had scored some 1,000 plus runs in that first class calendar. Based on that, he was called up to India's squad. Rishikesh Kanedkar was leading Maharashtra. Paras Mamre's first season as domestic coach, immediately after retiring from first class cricket. So that was the first match I remember. I think they were playing Himachal Pradesh uh, at Pune's Nehru Stadium, obviously. And coincidentally, Anand, I don't know, it doesn't really happen with a sports journalist, especially in a smaller center, that you get to actually experience an international game in a press box before a domestic game. And I was extremely fortunate about it. That Australia versus New Zealand match, the World Cup fever is on, and it was a neutral match on Indian soil. Australia versus New Zealand must have been around November 2003. Uh, it turned out to be quite a low scoring affair in Pune, and I was fortunate to have. I still remember. I was anyway lost when I entered the press box. I met Mr. G. Vishwanath, who a lot of people even then, my contemporaries, the younger lot of Pune journalists mistook for GRV. But I had read Mr. G. Vishwanath. That was the first time I met him actually in that Nehru Stadium press box, which was actually an extension of the old Maharashtra Cricket Association office. There was no press box as such.
Right. Now, you've had a lot of experience covering both domestic and international cricket. Now, each one has a different kind of charm. But I think a lot of viewers will be familiar with the hype and the nature of international cricket, but they may not understand so much the joys and the charm of covering domestic cricket in some of the smaller venues. I'm sure you have some interesting memories from your travels around India.
Oh yes, domestic cricket is a different cup of tea altogether, and especially for a cricket writer, you have been through that grind much before me. Thankfully, with the organization that I'm involved with, had it not been for the Hindu, I wouldn't have been able to cover so much of domestic cricket in today's day and age. It's only the Hindu that still deputes correspondents for a majority of domestic games that matter, if not all. Okay, so that way, the charm of it's like, see, in today's day and age, you and I, we know that we crave to be on a an overseas tour, especially when it comes to India's international fixtures, because that's when we can actually, hopefully, have a cup of coffee or any other beverage with a player or a member of coaching staff. Because when it comes to international cricket in India, the access is extremely limited. Domestic cricket offers that opportunity. Be it someone who is recovering from an injury or someone who is playing to help the team out or someone who is dropped. That's when you get all the access and the players are free. Even during the match, even now, despite ECU and all being in place, at times you can interact with players during a day's play. Okay, that's the biggest advantage. And trust me, I can tell you the best domestic cricket story that I have. Okay, there would be like three or four journalists who would be able to share this story. I'm one of them, and I don't actually. A lot of people might feel that I am sorry about it, but I'm not. You, Anand, you and I, we both were in Mumbai. You were here for the Tendulkar farewell test match. I didn't have accreditation for that match. For that matter, I used to work for Cricket Info back then, and we did not have accreditation. My colleague Siddharth Monga had come down to watch it from the stands and write about it. At the same time, I was at MCS Stadium at BKC covering the Mumbai versus Delhi Ranji Trophy match. Okay, so while watching Tendulkar's farewell speech and wiping my tears, one of those, since I was not in the press box, okay, I could give myself that liberty. But I also watched an extremely rare occurrence, even in domestic cricket or first class cricket, that of a tied first innings. Zahir Khan bowled a sensational spell after Mithun Manna scored a lovely 100. Okay, so that is one of those experiences that had it not been for domestic cricket, I would not have been able to share it.
Right, and switching from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, now the World Cup is upon us. So, I mean, it would be amiss if we didn't talk about the World Cup. We were together at the Asia Cup recently. We saw the Indian team coming together quite well, even with the injury concerns. Most slots have been filled. The team's looking good. How do you rate India's chances in this home World Cup?
India are ranked favorites, which has been the case ever since 2011, and we have seen India not converting the tag of favorites into the tag of being the champion. I somehow have a feeling that the same tale may be repeated. India should go through to the semi-finals, but over there again, unless I don't know, I somehow don't see India being actually emerging as the champions and Rohit Sharma doing what Mahendra Singh Dhoni did in 2011. It's just a gut. Maybe that X factor is still lacking. Maybe 4 weeks down the line, you and I can have the same conversation and I can have another opinion. But at the start of the tournament, at least, I don't see India lifting the trophy. They'll definitely be in the knockouts, but whether they have that knockout punch, I am not convinced as yet.
And who do you think will
What's your take?
I am not sure actually. I wouldn't even call India favorites. I think England are the standout team for me, just because the number of options they have in terms of all-rounders and power hitters, and the way they play fearlessly. I think they'll have to adapt a little to Indian conditions, but most of these players have experience of playing in India thanks to the IPL or bilateral tours. So I think England are just ahead of India. India possibly second, and then Australia, and then I think the rest of the field is wide open. Who do you think are the other three who will make it to the semis? You already said India.
Yeah, I have gone with England, Australia, India, and despite the criticism that they are facing of late, I still feel Pakistan will be the fourth team. New Zealand, I don't think have the X factor. Had Honoric Norkia been fit, South Africa would have been my fourth team.
Interesting choices there. And will you be traveling much during the World Cup?
My World Cup travel will be limited to Mumbai and Pune, so I should be around for anywhere between 8 to 10 games at the stadium. What's your plan?
Well, there will be a bit of travel, be mostly around India games. Be following India as much as possible. I was calculating yesterday, and it looks like India will be covering about 15,000 kilometers in the league phase of the World Cup. So I don't think it'll be possible to do the entire lot, but I'll be at as many India games as I can. Now, since you mentioned Pune and Mumbai, two cities that you have lived and worked in, what are the significant differences between working and living in these two different cities?
Okay, so living, I can tell you more about it because I worked in Pune only for the first 2 years of my career. Thereafter, it's been almost 2 decades now. Okay, I'm not as old as you make out to be, Anand. But see, Pune, the Pune that I lived in was quite similar to Bangalore that you grew up in, possibly. You did not grow up in Bangalore, but Bangalore that you were known of. It used to be the pensioners' paradise. The best thing was growing up in the heart of the city, in a 5 kilometer radius, in the first 16 years, a kid could be actually exposed to every culture, every art form. That was the best thing about growing up in Pune. Okay, even for sport, it's just that in 5 kilometer radius, you could actually expose yourself to the whole world. You could experience the whole world and then make out what you want to do. Okay, that was the best thing. Now the IT hub having shifted to Pune, since then Pune, it's like that great term that all of us, or most of us who are older than us, use, that it's no longer what our city used to be. That's the thing. In Mumbai, it was extremely difficult there. As in, Mumbai and Pune are like only 150 kilometers apart, but there's a sea change in quality of life. In Mumbai, rather in Bombay, when I shifted, it's like I was never used to using public transport to begin with. So the first adjustment was to get used to public transport because that's the quickest mode of commute, even now. So that way, it's two different cultures, it's two different lifestyles. Since then, it's been 18 years I've been living in and around Mumbai. I've had at least a dozen friends who have come down from Pune thinking that, okay, let me give it a try. Of those dozen friends who have moved overseas, the other 10 have moved back to Pune in 3 at the most 6 months.
So you're saying it's not easy, but let's talk about the sporting culture of Mumbai, because that is something that comes up often in cricket. And obviously so, because the manner in which they have dominated for the Ranji Trophy and won so many times. So it is bound to come up. What do you make of that culture, and do you now think that perhaps the rest of India has also caught up when it comes to cricket?
See, the best and worst thing about Mumbai cricket, even now, I feel, is this overemphasis on the Ranji Trophy. Even now, if you see, Mumbai has at least a dozen IPL cricketers every season. But the old timers in Mumbai cricket, those who still are influential, they still crib about Mumbai not winning Ranji Trophy for 7 years. Okay. And that right now Mumbai is going through its second longest drought of a Ranji Trophy title. But Despite that, the culture of Mumbai cricket, I don't think, yes, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu have a different charm of cricket culture. You can possibly talk more about it. But the fact that you actually grow up, even if you don't make it to the first class level, the sense that you get about being in a cricket city when you are on a maidan or watching any local match, okay, the sense of the game awareness that a majority of cricketers have, be it a 14-year-old or a 44-year-old, that's second to none, I guess. I doubt if you can actually have that quality anywhere. Like I said, you can possibly give us more insights into the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu culture, but that is something that's been a boon for Mumbai cricket, and that's why if you see most top Mumbai cricketers, okay, their friends, you co-authored the Vasukaran's book. You spoke with Rohit Sharma about it. He gave you the tale about Prashant Naik. Prashant Naik hardly played any first class cricket for Mumbai, but he is Rohit Sharma's one of thickest friends, even now, the business partners. Okay. So, what does Mumbai cricket give is bonds of lifetime, and when it comes to Indian cricket, it still produces those cricketers. Look at Shardul Thakur, Surya Kumar Yadav. They are not quintessential those child prodigies of Mumbai cricket, right? But still, look at where they are now. It's all a part of that Mumbai culture. I think it's evolving, but it will sustain for the longest time possible.
I'm glad you brought up Rohit Sharma because that was going to be my final question to you in this uh, interaction. You've seen him over the years at various different levels of cricket. Now, the World Cup is obviously the pinnacle of that. I mean, he'll still go on to play Test cricket for a while, I'm sure, but unlikely to feature in another World Cup. Just how much does this tournament actually mean to you? What is the sense that you?
Yeah, it means the world to him. It's not that I have spoken at great length to him about this topic, but from my limited interactions over the years, I can tell you that if this is going to be his last ODI World Cup, which in all likelihood it will be, and even if a miracle happens and he stays on till 2027 in ODIs, he'll not be the captain. So when it comes to World Cup, because you and I we both know the kind of phase he went through after not making the cut for the 2011 World Cup. And for Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli's generation, they all got hooked to cricket watching Tendulkar bat in the 96 World Cup. So for them, the World Cup means as much as it meant for the Tendulkars and the Dravids and the Kumars. This is the last generation possibly for whom the ODI World Cup means the world. And if Rohit Sharma can sign off with that win, then I can tell you one thing. The difference between him and his predecessors is he'll not hang around and end up being pushed out of the scene if and when it arises.
Right. Thank you very much, Amol, for speaking to us and enjoy the World Cup.
Pleasure, Anand. Good luck for your platform. Keep rocking.